This is a disclaimer for those of you who are offended by the judgment that I put on some of the cards I review today. Prof-It is a show intended for players who understand how to play the Pokemon trading card game to become very good at competitive play. Because of this, I denounce some fun cards because they just aren't as good as what competitive play has to offer. Thank you for your understanding. Wait, that wasn't funny.
You're Reggie Rocket with my nonsense and hopeless Poke products. You won't stop till you're about to the top with all the hot bits. Hit with the metagame train, the reigning top kid's at the top of his game, and you can't hit on top this. You want the best tricks? I suggest you Prof-It. You want a mess split? I suggest you Prof-It. Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Prof-It. Yeah!
So, this week's episode is a review on our upcoming set, Heart Gold, Soul Silver Undaunted. Check it out.
Let's start off with all the shiny rare cards, the primes and legends of this set. So, believe it or not, Undaunted has the worst set of primes in any of the 3 Heart Gold Soul Silver sets so far. I'll save the best for last, but we're really in for some trouble here. Worst is Slowking Prime. With a power name like Opponent's Choice, you know you're going to be the lowest of the low. In any game where you're trying to win, you never want to give your opponent the choice. Well anyways, his Pokepower plays like a Pokedex, except your opponent gets to choose which card goes to your hand. Rarely will your top 2 cards be both extremely important or both the same card, so most of the time you're gonna get shortchanged. I'd rather use Dodrio's Echo Draw if I wanted to draw cards, but he's not gonna be very good for drawing either. Not to mention, he has a lousy 3 for 60 attack and 2 retreat cost. I'd stay away from Slowking for competitive play. Then we have Houndoom Prime. There's nothing special about him. His power makes you flip a coin in order to try and burn your opponent. This means that after you flip your coin to burn, and then your opponent flips for burn damage, only a quarter of the time will you actually hit the opponent for 20 damage right after using the power. Dark Clamp is only 70 for 3 energy, and it's not even double colorless compatible, so you're going to need 3 total energy to do the attack. With cards like Kingdra Prime and Donphan Prime hitting for 60 and over damage for 1 energy, Houndoom is just way too slow to compete. Then comes Raichu Prime. The one kind of cool thing about him is that because Raichu level X is still legal from Stormfront, you can have Raichu Prime level X on your field and blind your opponent with the ridiculous amount of silver foil in your active spot. But honestly, there's nothing special about this Raichu that you haven't seen before. His power can't really pair with anybody since Motor Drive Electivire is rotated, and his attack is worse than the one from Heart Gold Soul Silver. I'd rather do 100 for 2 energy than 120 for 3. Plus, the Heart Gold Soul Silver Raichu has free retreat. I can't think of a good way to get Raichu Prime to be competitive, and it's a shame. Then come the Evolutions. I'll just use this time to talk about all the Evolutions in general. Eevee Evolutions haven't been given a good wave for a while now, and this batch is one of the worst of them all. We have 3 sets of Evolutions in legal play now, and aside from Leafeon and Glaceon level X in the past, they've seen little play. The basic evolutions are all pretty shabby. 3 for 90 in a discard, 3 for 70, etc. They're just very subpar cards. There is one evolution I want to talk about later, but as a whole, the concept of evolving an Eevee into multiple kinds of evolutions for type advantage hasn't been good for a long time. Espeon Prime perplexes me. Its body allows you to use any of the attacks that another evolution on the bench has. Unless you're going to go through the trouble of hurting yourself with Rainbow Energy, you're going to have to manually attach the same energy type to do each evolution's attack anyways. Not to mention, if you're gonna do that, why not just evolve to the evolution you wanted instead of attacking through Espeon? A lot of this body makes me think of Arceus level X's Omniscient body, which lets him use any attack from another Arceus. But at least here it makes sense, because the level X clears your weakness, adds 40 HP, and Arceus has a Stadium which lets you move around energy, making the usage of multiple types a non-issue. With Espeon, you get none of these bonuses and a subpar 2 for 30 attack. Umbreon is unique, but not competitive. His Pokepower is a built-in Super Scoop Up, like Toxicroak G Promo has. But since Umbreon is an evolution, unless he doesn't get killed in one hit, I can't imagine much of a use for this power. His attack is a weaker version of Flygon's Power Swing, which hits for 50 damage plus 10 more for each evolution on the field. Since you can only have 4 Eevee in a deck, and most of this is hitting for 90 damage before Special Darkness, which is still a little on the low side to make a change competitively. Last but not least, the Golden Prime in the sea of upsetting ones is Scissor Prime. Scissor Prime has a lot going for him, and here's why. His body, Red Armor, prevents all damage and effects from Pokemon with special energies attached to them. This means that all double colorless energy, call energy, special metal energy, and special darkness energy abusive decks will need to rethink their strategy and will be indefinitely slowed or crippled because of it. Most SP decks only run about 4 to 5 basic energy, with nearly 8 of their other energy slots being taken by call energy and double colorless, meaning they'll have little resources to work around this body. The attack, Metal Scissors, is decent. It does 30 damage plus 20 for each metal attached. With 2 it's 2 for 70, with 3 you're doing 90, etc. This isn't as much damage per energy as many of the speedier decks in the format, but because of special metal energy, his body, and a highly recommended expert belt, Scissor Prime will function as a great mini-tank for the new format. And finally, onto the Legends. Back when I was reviewing the older Legends and talking about how Legend Box would be a much needed tool for Legend decks to be competitive, I didn't know how our rotation would play out. Because we've been given a format with no Unknown G and Machamp still in it, Legend decks will still take an auto loss to Machamp, which can knock them out in one hit with Takeout for 2 prizes. Because of this, I'm weary of recommending a Legend deck, but let's take a look at everything anyways. With Legend Box released, you get to look at the top 10 cards of your deck, combine the top and bottom half of a Legend card if you see one, and attach all energy that you find in those 10 cards to the Legend you create and bench it. Because you're setting aside 6 cards for prizes, and drawing 8 by the first turn of your game, this means that you're looking at 10 cards of a maximum 46 card deck. As your game progresses, your deck will thin and your chances of hitting a Legend will increase. It all depends on how many Legends you play, how many energy you play, and your deck's engine to determine if Legend Box is an excellent resource or just a gambler's card, but it should at least give players an opportunity to test some of the coolest looking cards ever released. Deoxys Rayquaza Legend is a completely bizarre combination of Pokemon and energy types. It's psychic and colorless, weakness to psychic and colorless, and his attacks use lightning and fire energy. Anyways, Deoxys Rayquaza has an interesting body that allows you to draw an extra prize card every time you get a knockout with him. Because his attack does 150 damage, it basically means 2 prizes per attack. The problem with that is, because he can give up to 2 prizes for being knocked out himself, it's a race to see who can get the knockout first, you or your opponent. With an amazing Legend Box, it could possibly be you, but then you're discarding energy anyways and you have to rebuild. And pretty much no matter what, if you leave Deoxys Rayquaza active, it's going to get knocked down one hit by Garchomp's C Level X, the most popular competitive card right now, whose 1 for 80 Dragon Rush with double colorless energy and energy gain will take advantage of Rayquaza Deoxys' weakness. All in all, I'd say Rayquaza Deoxys is better looking than it is competitive. The other Legend card of this set is Kyogre Groudon Legend, who has some really interesting attacks. The first, Mega Tidal Wave, is my favorite. For 2 water and a double colorless, it lets you discard the top 5 cards off your opponent's deck, and then it does 30 damage times the number of energy you discarded to your opponent's entire bench. If you can get this attack off, you're seriously crippling your opponent. Either way. Even if you don't hit many energy for multiple knockouts, losing 5 cards off the top of your deck is completely devastating. It could be crucial Pokemon or trainer cards. His second attack is great if you want an almost guaranteed knockout. It discards 5 cards from yourself, but you do 100 damage times the energy you discarded. Hit 1 at 2 energy, and you're pretty much guaranteed a prize. The big problem with Kyogre Groudon is the format. With a ×2 weakness to lightning and grass, any Lux Chomp deck or Jumpluff that's still played will get an easy 2 prizes off you. I think he's an excellent card, but he won't see play until SP gets rotated once and for all.